thanks everyone for attending this meeting. I think we get started. We've been away, as I was saying before. We've been away for a while, and we are glad to be back in this new format. So the Dynamo user group. Before I let the presenter start, I want to give you some info about us. So probably you know our meetup, website. You know, we are also on Facebook and Twitter, and there are there on the screen a few emails that you can use to contact us. So I just want to also let you know that we will keep on using this format until the COVID crisis is resolved. Carry on. We also have a GitHub repository, so where we can. Andrea is not here, but Andrea is the one who set it up. So thanks to Andrea, and that's where we keep all the presentation for this group. So a few news. So in September, this year September, the Dynamo Core 2.8 was released, and this is a good news because finally we can use CPython 3 into Dynamo, and that's how you can use the more popular libraries such as NumPy, Pandas, and Keras. up to until now, we were just stuck with IronPython 2, which is it's been working so far, but it's good news that we have also we can use CPython 3, and probably we'll do a presentation later on next year about how we can make it work. Also, for the people that don't know, so the Dynamo Core is basically a version of Dynamo that works. It's not attached to any program, so it's not attached to Revit, it's not attached to Civil 3D or anything else. So it works standalone. And as again, if you don't know, since starting from Revit 2020, you don't have the option to install the Revit version that you prefer, but this comes with already pre-installed. It already comes pre-installed with Revit, and also the upgrading Dynamo comes with the same updates the Revit and the packages the Revit gets. Also, a few days ago, there was a new Dynamo Core 2.9 release. It was, I think, last week. And yes, one of the features that I noticed was that now we got a feature called the node autocomplete. So basically, you can click on input ports, press Alt left, and have the Dynamo showing the suggestion, no suggestion, that you can use to complete that workflow. Okay. So, what we've been doing, also we ask you if you have any coding issues, if you got workflows that you want us to present, please let us know. We do our best to present at the next meetings. And now I just want to introduce Trieu. So he's gonna give us a presentation on how to build a bridge we already did Dynamo. So Trieu is a foundation member of Atlas back in 1999. He rejoined the Atlas team in 2015 as a BIM specialist, and after spending 8 years as a BIM manager and Revit mentor at Asphalt, Australia. He brings with him a substantial knowledge and practical experience in BIM management and documentation techniques to support, train, and mentor the Atlas team. And Trieu has recently joined Aurecon in Melbourne as an expert computational designer. He's very passionate about bringing ideas to life using complex geometry through computational design technology. And I want to really thank you, Trieu, tonight for presenting at the Dynamo User Group.
Thanks, Sevel.
Yep, just
So
give
let
a
me
second
start
through.
by sharing
Yep.
my screen.
Yep, now you should be able to do it.
So you can hear me?
Yep,
Okay.
we can hear you, we can see you, and we leave it to you, Trieu.
Okay, thank you. So hello everyone. So I'll start by sharing the my Dynamo node that I made at the C# node with the core zero touch node to build a bridge. So I'm really keen in the complex geometry, and then to me bridge is not complex enough. So I'll start. So this is the bridge that I'm able to just build them all in one click, only in Dynamo. This is a typical bridge that uses Sophistic. Yeah, you can see that the plan, the elevation and cross section. So really typical. We have also the scale angle and to end, and it's quite curvy as well, as you can see in the elevation. And then with the cross section, they also complex here, where we have the main road here, and as well as the Ayoubi user part on the left hand side here. So I will go back to here later on when we do the family for the deck. It's quite complicated. Yeah. So this is the master Dynamo file that I try to put everything in so that we can generate a bridge when you hit run. They all generate for you. But actually, this is not the typical process where we do a bridge in Aurecon. We just try to break it down per task. And then at Orkestra, we also develop a bunch of a node we call Coral node that dealing with alignment really good. So you can take alignment from many format like Land XML, or 12D or JSON or things like that. It is the Coral node from Orkestra. And then myself create a lot of node for bridge specific, and also utilize that library for my own node here as well. As you can see later on when we create a family. So we break down a bridge into several tasks, like with the girder, or you put a deck or barrier or thing like that. So we start by creating a deck or a asphalt layer, for example. Then this is a node that typically help us to preview the alignment come from civil team. So it's a typical node that we have some input and output. Here we just specify the XML file, the land XML file. And then we can specify a list of name, the string name. Then they will show on screen. So you can see that with the circle one, play the circle along that alignment. So it help you in identify which alignment is correct, because sometimes civil teams send out a lot of alignment. So we need to identify which one is correct for our geometry creation. And as well, you can put the tag on the top of each string, so you can tell which is which. And this is the for the preview only. You can also provide by index as well, rather than just a name. So here we can tell that is the index number of that string in the whole alignment file. And sometimes index is safer, because sometimes we may have a name duplicate. More than one string have the same name. So you can choose whichever way you want, index number or just string name. And then when we identify which alignment, which string we need for our geometry, then we go to create that geometry by another node here, where the same, we specify the land XML file, we specify the string. So in this case, I'm going to create a asphalt layer on the top, so that from that alignment, we extract all the point And then we also specify the extent of that asphalt layer by the start coordinate and the end coordinate of that that surface, as well as the scale angle as well. So we specify scale angle here, and then we provide a profile. It's the adaptive component profile. So in this case, it's 3 point, because we have three string here. Specify the left hand side, the middle, and the right hand side of the surface, so that we provide the same adaptive point for that list here, and we hook it to that type here. Then if we generate that that asphalt surface here.
Sorry, Trieu, can I ask you a question if you go back to the previous screenshot?
Sure.
How do you get those initial coordinates?
It's from project.
From the project, okay.
Yeah. So like we can treat the family editor like a factory, and your Revit project is like a site. So some guy on the site make a phone call to the factory, order a deck or asphalt, for example. So he will specify the start and the end coordinate where you want to put your deck or your asphalt on site, so that any coordinate along the edge, it will go back to the plan view, so it's easier. Like here, so I know that my deck will be sitting here. So any point along that edge will be like the starting point, X and Y, and the same here, X and Y, and also the angle here. So that what I'm trying to do it, I make like a pre-made element like in the factory, and then when they deliver it to site, it's already there. So you don't have to you avoid cut it in any angle like that. So it will be perfectly fit on purpose, and then we just deliver it on site and put it in there, and that's it.
Thank you.
Yeah. So that you can see that start point and then that angle here, 96 scale angle, and then profile here. Yeah. So for the asphalt, it's quite easy. Simple, because the civil alignments gave us the finishing finishing level anyway. So that 3 points adapt straight away to that finishing level. So it's all good. This asphalt bits have that starting point and end point correctly, and the scale angle as well, and we can put it on site. But then if we go back to the deck surface, it's a little bit more complicated. Like if I go back to the cross section, tell you what it. So for structurally, we build a deck here, so that it cover the road side and also for the shared user parts here as well. And then that means that it's not symmetrical. Yeah, for the asphalt easy, we have 1, 2, 3, so it's good. But for the deck, it's not like that. This side keep going down to the same cross fold here. Let's try 3%, for example, going all the way through there, and this one is 3% this way. And on top of that, to accommodate the girder underneath here, you have three girder on the right hand side, and the 4 other girder in the other side. They all have different cross fold. You know, this one it rotate this way, the other way rotate the other way. So the crown point is not the same. You see, on the top we have the crown point in the middle here of the row, but on the bottom side we have that point somewhere here. So that it starts changing direction for those 3 guys and for the other 4 guys. If you try to put that one in here, so it's not work. Yeah. And then also the design, the string design for road and for the parts here is independent, make it more complicated. It's not parallel. So this guy had the what we call long ray along the road here. It's different from long ray of that the part here. And also this one is 2% only, not 3%, so it's slightly different. And at the same time, we have to put the upstand here, so that is maintained like 150 mil above the finishing of the surface here. So it means that the upstand structurally here is different high, because the bottom one is follow to the row side, but the top one is follow to the path side here. So similar for that upstand here as well. So that for this for that family, so it's take this. I take the 6 point. You see 1, 2, 3 here, and then 4, 5, 6 over there, because the number 4, number 5, number 6 it follow to the another string come from the part and not from the row. So the 1, 2, 3 here come from the row. So that in family you have to we have to have some parameter so that you can, from the finishing here, we specify like the asphalt thickness of 70 mil. So we offset down here 70 mil all the way through here, and similar for the other one. So that's why we need that more than just 3 point to make that profile. So it's a 6 point adaptive component profile that hang to that 6 string. And then because I try to incorporate the scale angle into from the beginning, so that profile is not placed perpendicular to the string alignment. So that we have to calculate the angle profile as well. Like for example, in this case, the upstand curve here, we have 250 mil. But then in reality, because it's put at an angle, so I have to calculate so that one is 270, 257, not 250, to accommodate that angle. Yeah. So that when we put it at an angle, it become 250 perpendicular to the alignment. Yeah. And also I can calculate the thickness along different along the thickness vary of the deck as well. Let me go back to the elevation you can see here. So the top surface try to maintain to the finishing level of the long ray of the design, but the surface of the deck is somehow is straight, so that the girder can attach to. So it means that the thickness along that one will be vary. And if the engineer want, like say 200 minimum, so that you can tell that the minimum thickness will be here 200, and another one at 200 here, and this one will be more than 200 because it's curved on the top but it's straight on the bottom. Yeah. So we also try to incorporate that one to family so that it can calculate. So you can see that when cut section here, the girder is perfectly matched to that surface surface here. So like for the first one, for example, the minimum is still 200 here, but go to further down to the right hand side, it increase the thickness up and up. Like this guy is 46 mil thicker than this guy here. Yeah, so so the top surface it follow to the long ray designed by civil, but the bottom one, the surface one, still straight. So that we try to make that deck it perfectly fit to everything, and we just simply put it into the project. And then here, when we bring that into the project, we also can put it in the right location straight away because we capture that coordinate as well into the family, so that we have a tool which say play this guy to it coordinate here. And also we know that the maximum different thickness would be 142. So it means that this in this end we have 200 thickness only, but in the middle somewhere in the mid span it can jump up to 142 more. So that's that is 342 maximum thickness over there. So the reason I take that as an example because I love that kind of bridge. Somehow it's too curvy. It's not typical at all. Sometimes we have very flat bridge, but for this case it's really curved. So we know that in mid-span it's somehow really thick. So that if we later on calculate for the Hawk value of the curve, if it's a little bit curved, it will be fine. Like we have the 50 curve, 50 Hawk, and that's still cover enough. We have 142 extra thick here. Yeah. So that when we put the deck into the project, they will be put on the right location, and then we work from that. the deck is the starting point. And now we jump into the project environment. And then when we have the deck already, we start put the girder in. Yeah. So similar, we also have some input here, like for my note here, I require a deck. And also the start and the end of the grid line, where it specifies the start and the end of the girder, of the beam. And then the family, and then the number of that, the number of the girder along that width here. So 7. So they all, and then they just generate that one. They calculate the also the soffit angle, so that they can cooperate that cross section to here. So this guy 172 degree, but the other guy may different because they rotate in the other angle. And also the skew angle also put it in, so that girder actually have skew angle already, so they match into the deck skew angle as well. Let me go back to my plan here. So in this plan I have to draw a grid line where I want the that girder stop. Yeah, somewhere here, like grid line, first one, second one here to the end here, and similarly for the second span. So they know the deck, they know the start and the end point, and they just simply put the girder in, and they know number of the girder, and they know the width, the overall width. So they divide by 7 or something like that, and change that width to suit. As well as the you have the gap tolerance here as well. It requires. So I put that at the default value. So 20 mil, for example. So you don't have to specify, but anything different than that, you can put the gap here as well, the girder gap, 25 or something like that. And also the offset list here, you may want to shift the whole thing to the left hand side or right hand side, or something like that. But default they will be at the middle. So you can see that the width here is that 2 meters more somehow. And also I'm trying to keep track of the element that been created by Dynamo, so that we keep track of those. So like for this guy here, we know that it's belong to the span 1, and it's a number 3. So we have the 7 girder on span 1 is the number 3 here, and we have some command saying that is bridge girder. So doing so later on, if I want to change it to 7 or sorry, we change to 8 or 9, for example, they will then update the current 7 one and put the new one in at the extra one. So they don't know. So I can keep track that one. So this system helped me that we can update the element rather than recreate that one. That is sometimes I see the problem of Dynamo, when you create things like that, and then if you want to update, you just simply delete that one and create a new one completely. So that if user puts some information to that one, they will be gone. So you have to keep doing that again and again. But in this case, to that system, you can keep track of those things. If say I want it 6 only, then they will change the width, and then the number 3 will move accordingly rather than be deleted and the new one come in. So that is the girder from the deck. The deck is followed to the string alignment from civil, but to girder they don't worry about the alignment at all. They just worry for the deck. If the deck move, they just jump to the new location of the deck. Or if the grid line move, they will jump to the new and a new extent. And then when we finish of the girder, then we can start putting the bearing or a table plate to support it. So now for the bearing here, the input would be the girder, and then you specify the family of the table, and then the family of the bearing here to support this guy. So again, so I can see here for this one, we don't have to select every single girder. We just the first one only. Anyone belong to this span, that would be fine. Just pick one. But then because of the naming system, they know that they will look through for all the girder belong to the span 1 with the S1, for example. Like literally have the S1 here. And that name here inherit from the grid line. When you select the grid line here, they take that grid name, they put into the girder. So that when you put the table plate here, they seek looking for that name, and then they just know that they look through all the girder belong to that span and create the bearing for that span only. And that again, that bearing also inherit from that naming as well. So S1 come from the girder, and 7 is the number 7, and B is mean that is the in this side. The other side would be 1. So this why we S1 7B. This one we add to 7A, for example, things like that. And for the table plate, it's tricky because you have to make sure that you support the girder properly. Like they normally have a 4 corner heights differently. You can specify the minimum thickness you want for that table plate. Engineer will tell you how much they want. And then the other 3 corners, you see the different here. So it depends on how the cross fall of the girder and also the long ray, that going up or down or things like that, they will adapt to suit. So that is supposed to fit perfectly here. And also we can capture that coordinate as well at the same time. By the time you put it in, they will capture that information as well for the coordinate of that table plate and bearing. So going down further down, we start put the pier or the abutment and blade wall and the power cap here. For this note, I try to combine the same. Either the pier or abutment, that will be fine, and you just specify the family accordingly. So in this case, we put a pier. So I need a pier family, and I put the blade wall family in, and I put the power cap family in. Then again we select the deck. So with deck they are going to support, and also the grid line. And from that all input, they will just generate that geometry. So we have so 3 elements at the same time. You have a pier, you have a wall, and you have a power cap. And similarly, they will capture all information, like you have the skew angle here, because that is a skew angle, and also the length, the overall length or width here. So they're all the same. This is the same skew angle, the same, because they inherit from same node. And also, if you put the RL here where you want the power cap, 45,500 something, they put it here as well for you. So that is the pier, the play wall, and then the power cap. So the next one would be power. So for the power, easy, you just specify which power cap you want to put it in, number of the power, 7, and then type, and that generate the 7 power here along to that power cap. So in this case, I just we can specify the prefix and the command here, so that we keep track of those. So again, so this guy is not apartment number 3, for example, and again the coordinate also capture here. So that later on, if you change A, then they will put one more here, but this guy shift around, not be deleted, but just shifting. So this system help us to keep track of those for the power. And then and go back up to the top. Now we start putting other things like barrier or rail or things like that. So I make a general note for similar thing. I call it lie-based component. Like you can put the barrier in, you can put the handrail in, you can put the screen in. They're similar, just the same note, but just you can specify the family. And also again, we pick that length XML file from Civil, and we specify the string we know that the barrier should follow. So in this case, the left-hand side, for example, of the barrier here, I just take that one, and from that node, we pull a list of points along that string. And then for this one, we specify the start and stop of that barrier by a marker. I make a family here so that you can specify where you want it start. So this one is easier for user because you don't have to type the coordinate like we did for the deck. The reason we have to do that for the deck because we build the deck in the family editor. It's in the factory. It's not in project. So that we need to capture that information in project and send to the family editor to create that one. But now here, because we are inside project already, so it is simple. You put a family where you can extract that point. So you don't have to key a lot of a number for that coordinate. You just put that family in the start and end, and between that 2 point, how many barrier you want to put it in. And for that input here, I also make that it very flexible. Like in this case, if you put 5990 and 1, it means that typically they will put at that length along the string, and the custom one will be the last one. There will be last one shorter than 1550 to make it suit between the two marker you put it here. And if you put it like here 5990 and 1, and they will put typically 5990, and the odd one will be start with the odd one and with the odd one, and in between will be typical one here. If you put 2 and 3, they will put it like that. You have the 2 and 3 odd one in either side and the typical in the middle. Or if you put the second figure is big enough, it's become the length not become number at all because it's too much. So that in this case, the typical will be 5990, and then whatever, and the second one become the minimum length. They will try to put some barrier so that it's more than 4500 here. And to make it further, you can even put a custom list of length if you want. You want any length, you put it there at the list, and you can put it there, and they will try to place it exactly like the length specified in here. And again, I also need that kind of coding so to keep track of those things. So we know that is the barrier on the left hand side is in number 3 from the starting point. We have the command here, and also similar, I capture the 2 coordinate of each barrier here. So we don't know where we put exactly on site the start point and end point of individual barrier here. We can specify the gap as well, 20 mil gap in here. Yeah. So for the horizontal length, also another option that, because when you specify the length here, it means that the length at the angle or absolute horizontal angle. Sometimes we need to measure angle along the long range at an angle like that, but sometimes you want to specify the true length horizontally, then that will be an option as well here. So that all the node that we can combine all together to make the whole bridge. So to me, the Dynamo is strong, it's powerful. People say a lot of Dynamo, but then the family also very important. Yeah. If you don't have the family that intelligent enough to capture or not that result calculates from Dynamo, then you wouldn't do that properly. So in this case here, I think the family play a really important role in 50-50. So Dynamo do 50% of work, and family also do another 50%. Because when you do a lot of calculation, you have a lot of information. But then if the family cannot adapt to that, and then it's not good. Like individual family here hold a lot of information. So like because you have the 20 mil gap, so that the length from center to center will be 6 meter 10, but then the true length will be the cut length will be like this one. So a lot of information to capture it, otherwise it won't work. So and also go back to the deck family as well. You see a lot of things happening here. You need to provide the Dynamo can easily spit out that 6 point for you easily. But the thing is that how can you create a family through that 6 adaptive points, but then capture all the geometry along that deck. Like the ups, we had the curve here, we had the curve, another curve there, and then that curve is independent to this curve and independent to this point here. This one is follow the other string, or the height is different because they measure to the finishing surface of the path, not of the row here. So irrelevant. So the family, and also, like I repeat that one, you have to take that angle into account, so that when you put it at angle, the true width still the same. All of here they may different. We may have the situation where you have the scale angle different from this end to the other end, so that when you put the profile here, they will gradually adapt to that different angle, or on through, even though with the true width here is still the same. Yeah, and by the way, by default, I put it at about 1 meter interval along of the alignment. Yeah, so to me that the family is really important. And this one, for example, for the abutment here, what the node do here, they just simply specify 3 points that they can calculate from the deck soffit, and from the grid line where you specify 1, 2, 3. But then from that 3 points only, you have to make the family so that they have all of that geometry requirement for a pier, with the like the fender wall here, or that with that length, everything else, it is family. So we have to specify. We played the role quite clearly, which one controlled by Dynamo and which one is controlled by family. So in this case, the Dynamo will control that 3 point, and when the deck is moving or changing, they calculate again, and we have a new 3 points. But then the geometry here is belong to the family, so the family will have to take care of those things. So that we don't, and doing so, next time when you run Dynamo, all of that information that you put for the element will be safe. The Dynamo won't override that one again and again. So we make it clear between the two, Dynamo and family. So I think that's all for me today. So any you go to Q&A session.
Thanks a lot, Trieu. That was amazing.
And then I'll also have the record of that process. Just 5 minutes. I'll play here so you can take a look.
Yes, please.
Yeah. So this is empty, the empty Revit model. Nothing there. Cross section, long section, schedule, nothing at all. But a lot of preparation. I have a lot of grid line and marker and things like that. Prepare. This is the landscape, show nothing. And then that is the father. I try to combine everything I have the deck family already. That Python node helped me to put the deck in the right location. And from the deck, similarly, we can just start put the girder in, and from girder you put the table plate, and from table plate you put from deck you can put the pier and play wall and pile cap and pile. And similarly in the bottom you can see that from same alignment we start pull out the string we want, and then from that one we put the barrier left and right and rail and string and things like that, and they just and then when you hit run they will play everything in one go.
How long does it take to generate the whole bridge?
You mean in this video?
Yeah,
or?
After you press run, how long does it take?
Yeah, at the same, it's real time here.
Oh, it's a real time? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
you see it's still running, yeah, it's still running, but then it's real time, yeah. And boom. Yeah.
Wow, it didn't take long, didn't it?
Yeah. Because everything is well prepared, a lot of set out have been identified. I make the family already there, and they put it in, and all the grid line and things like that, and family, everything is ready. You just connect all together, and you can tell that we have a lot of information here, so that the new one 14 information is important, so you know what happening. So 7 power is placed safely here, and also you have some mark, some code, so you know which one is creating. Which one is updating, for example. Sometimes we have half. If you update something, in this case, because they're all brand new, so they all create new element, not existing update at all.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah.
Does anyone has got any questions, guys? For Trieu?
You see, it's quite curvy bridge, and then you see that they all generate. You can show the same section now. Show model in. And the schedule lead out all information that they capture in the length, and then
I got a question. So, so you're using the land XML files, right?
Yes.
For the alignment. So, what are the benefits instead of using just the alignment export as a DWG? You know?
Okay. Because we, as I said, we have the core nodes within Aurecon. They already there. And then using land XML file, I can specify I can investigate. It's easier. You see, I have the preview node where you can tell which alignment is which, so you can pull out the string you want easily. But then for the 3D AutoCAD file, then you have to somehow put it in the correct layer, for example, so you can pull out the string you want.
Okay, all right.
And also, you have to make sure that the string, the 3D polyline in the order you want, you know, it's upchanged all the time or not. Sometimes it revert, you know. The order up point also very important. Yeah. But it's still the land XML is just the first choice. But then we still can do, as you can see that from my typical node here. The output is just the polylist here. So if you don't want to use the XML file, you can use AutoCAD, you can use CSV file, Excel sheet, XYZ. As long as you can generate a point, a list of point along that string, that will be fine, and you put it in here.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah. It's ultimately it's just the point, just a list of point along that location, along that string. Yeah.
That's good. Another question is so is this workflow adaptable to any bridge? So you were showing before, like the adaptive families with 6 adaptive points, right?
Yeah.
So can you, if you go more or less adaptive points, with that workflow still work?
Yes. So the workflow is the same. The thing is that you have to fit you have to fit the suitable profile, for example. So for this one is simple. For example, you know that you need to build a geometry so that have the 2 cross 4 from the middle part in here, and 3 point will be good enough for this case. And because the 3 point exactly come from the string design as well, you know, the left hand side, right hand side. But sometimes, like let me go back here to see, like in this case, you see the number 3 come from the civil design, that finishing level. They want the row up to that far, but structurally we build the deck somehow extend so you can support something here. Let me go to the cross section. Maybe you will see it easier here. You see that point here is from civil design, so that they design the road that far only. But structurally, we have to take care ourselves, so that the family need to somehow adapt to that point, but at the same time have that parameter. You can extend it out here to cover the stitch and the barrier here, for example. So the process is all the same. The difference is just family. So that it depends on the geometry you want to build. So if in this case, if you don't have the share user part here, then 3 point may be good enough for the typical one. This one it complicates because it carry the other part here. So as long as you provide the thing here, you provide the same point list at 1, 2, 3, and you have 1, 2, 3 point here, then they will work.
Yeah.
So if it not, they will have some involved in here as well. They will calculate, hey, you provide 3 point, 3 list point, but you provide only 2 adaptive point, then it won't work. Yeah. So I think for the subtlety bridge, they're all the same.
Yep.
It's just the same principle.
Yep. Sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah.
I've got a couple of questions if we're allowed to ask. Or yeah, this is
sure.
Kevin. Really impressive presentation. Obviously, a really good work with not only the adaptive components but zero touch nodes and Dynamo in general. My questions are more so related to, I guess, the cultural and professional challenges that I no doubt most BIM managers here and elsewhere trying to get these workflows over the line face. I was just curious if you had like some steps you went through that helped sort of justify the time invested in these, non-billable hours that we always face, and how you'd recommend other people might tackle a similar challenge.
Yeah, they want to say a lot of time in terms of Revit, because Revit is software for building, it's not for bridge. And before people try to utilize it manually, it takes a lot of time.
Did you do something like, say, time tracking, or did you measure that before to prove to the directors that this was a worthwhile investment?
Yeah. I'm lucky because I'm joined Aurecon, where they really appreciate the digital.
That's great.
Then they do a lot of investment on that as well. So they believe that digital will help a lot. So in this case, not only the modeling time is quick, but also the updating is more important.
For sure. It's just the challenge of them seeing that in their mind's eye before I guess you finish the workflow is always the challenge we face, trying to convince directors that maybe can't see the solution on paper.
Yeah, because the civil is changed all the time. They may shift up or down or left or right a little bit. Then the way I'm approaching it, that I'm will update. So if the alignment changing, I just go back to my family and run it again with the new alignment here. And then if the location is not shifting, they do the same, and they generate a new geometry, a new family, and they put it back to the. And again, they just repeat that with the new deck. With the new deck here, the girder should follow too easily, and then the same. They all run it again and again. But they because of that labeling system here, I can keep track of those, and they just jump to the new location rather than deleting and recreating.
And justifies the means.
Yeah.
I guess it's to a challenge that I guess I faced. I'm working as a BIM consultant now, and some of my clients that come to me, they have these types of amazing workflows, and the authors have left, and they have no idea how to run these workflows. So I'm just curious. Obviously, Aurecon's a big company. You have training processes. I was just curious, sort of what sort of steps you take to upskill people to these types of really complex scripts to not only design but pilot as well.
Actually, when I joined Aurecon, it's my job to create a set tool for bridge team, and now I hand over that the node to the team, and they start training people, so they don't have to create node, but they start using it. So I'm not training how to create a node, but how to use the node here.
Okay.
And the team now starting build themselves bit by bit. Yeah.
Okay.
So
have you tried Sophistic as well, just for comparison?
Not really,
okay.
But they mentioned something before 4 weeks, now 1 week, I think, of time saving, something like that. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thanks. But yeah, really impressive. I think there's a few questions left in the chat, so if other people want to jump in and ask theirs, go for it.
Yeah, guys, if you got any questions, please unmute yourself, and you should be able to do it and ask the question. I think there was a question from Amin.
Yeah, hello everyone. My question is, how was the process of documentation? Was that also automated, or you did that manually? And did you do it yourself, or you had a team of Revit drafters?
Yeah,
create the collaboration between them?
yeah, document it is a separate process. At the moment, I have I also develop some small tool help in documentation phase, but more of the time documentation now is manual. But I can I have some small tool, like when people they move element around, you can update the current that for example, you can update it automatically rather than people have to put it manually, check it one by one. Yeah, and also create view, create sheet, and also recently I developed another tool also good, like they can override a dimension that they can check if the dimension is take measurement from 3D element or 2D line, and if so, they will change the color, like green or blue or red or whatever. If they all measure from 3D, it means that the number is good. But if they measure to the 2D, then it override with a different color, so you can tell. You can double check. You can more carefully on that one to see if it picked the right point or not. Yeah, things like that.
Right, and my other question is, how often are you going to use this Dynamo script? I mean, is that a standard bridge, or that's a customized type for a, I don't know, a specific bridge? Is that based in Victoria?
Yeah, it is Super T, what they call Super T bridge. Yeah, and then you don't have to use the girder like that. It's more again family. If they want to use the blank, that'd be fine. You just swap the family to that blank family.
No, what I mean is there's a pedestrian pathway on top of the deck, right? But I don't think there's always a pathway for pedestrians on any bridge. How often are you going to model like that? And is that adjustable? I mean, can you remove that from the model, or it's always there?
So I think that was my question. I mean,
yeah,
about adapting the workflow. So the
workflow. Maybe I missed that.
Yeah, so the workflow will work anyway. So depending on, instead you can specify 3 adapted points instead of 6 like you had. You can remove the pedestrian.
Oh, perfect. Thank you.
Mm.
All right. Thanks a lot, Trieu. That was amazing. Thanks
There's
a lot.
There's another question from Edward.
Yeah, just give me a second. I'll look at the chat.
Yeah, he's asking, are you modeling the hogs for the girders? I'll pretend I know what it means, but
yeah. At the moment, I don't. At the moment, because the way it depends on if you want to document that hog in your documentation, then we try to do that as well. But at the moment, our documentation just show the girder straight. So I'm not sure I can zoom it in a bit further here. So that it just we put it straight like this. And as I mentioned, if we know that the thickness vary a lot here, so that we don't worry about the hog value here. In this particular case, the thickness in the middle, in the mid-span, as you can see, it jumped to 142 mil. For example, is equal to 142 mils here. So even that if the hog value is more 100, that will still be fine in terms of that one. But we don't model the hog at the moment. Yeah. So the girder is straight. But if we need to document that one at a hog shape, then you can just create a family with that hog. And then if so, we have to modify the calculation here so that it is not generate the surface phase at the straight, but at the hog as well. So that's to adapt to the hog value of the girder. So that in the section you can see that they are matching up here. they always touch each other here, you know. Yeah.
Okay.
And I have another question that's from me actually. You might have said it at the beginning, but I was a little late, so I'm sorry for that. Those nodes that you were showing and like from the Aurecon package, are they like available from the package manager or are they proprietary?
At the moment, I try to integrate that into the Aurecon Y here, but did not use at the moment for Victoria office only. But then a few people outside in the other office also require, and I can send them the package. But it's not yet company wide. That is the next step. We are planning to create like add-in rather than Dynamo. So somehow we can convert everything here into add-in in Revit, so that it can become standard Aurecon wide.
Is it going to be like in the package manager, like available to everyone, or just for like internal Aurecon using?
Yeah, Aurecon only. Yeah.
Ah, okay. Yeah. Sorry if you already said that.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Trieu. Any other question, guys? Okay. I think we really thank you, Trieu, for your presentation.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks a lot. All right.
So I stop sharing now? Or?
Yes, please.
Okay, yeah, I will stop share.
Thank you. I will share back my screen. And I will introduce the second presenter. So we go Mostafa Ayoubi. I hope I pronounce it right. Which is gonna talk about getting started with Orkestra. So Mostafa is an architect and a civil engineer. He's very passionate about coding and everything that is related to computation in the AC industry. Probably you already know him because you've been using his Dynamo package, which is also called Data Shapes, which is also the name of his company. He also provides BIM, management coordination, support and training, and software development for the EEC through the Data Shapes company that I just mentioned. And recently, I think, maybe it will clarify since when Orkestra will be available, but the moment is in a beta version, I think, but Mostafa will tell you all about it. Thanks a lot, Mostafa. I'll give it to you. Just give me a second to stop my sharing.
Thanks, Salu.
And now you should be able to share your screen.
Yes, I am. Who can share? Oh, I'm the host now. Share screen. Go. All right. Can you see it?
Yes.
Okay,
yep.
cool. Thank you.
Yes, we can.
Well, first of all, yeah, you said my name right, so thanks for that. The second part, though, is about the release of Orkestra. It actually went live in October. It's been in a beta phase for almost a year, and it went live a couple of weeks ago. So I'm really excited about it and grateful for the opportunity to talk about it here. First of all, yeah, hi everyone, and well, thanks for having me. And thanks Trieu for your presentation. It was pretty amazing. This presentation is going to be on a very different level, or at least I'd say at a different stage of the journey of a definition, because Trieu was talking, it was a very technical, hands-on, or yeah, technical demo of how you can build some, automate some incredible modeling inside Dynamo. This part here is more about what happens next when you want to deploy it. And it may actually bring some answers to the questions that were asked. I mean, it's not Trieu's answer of what he's planning to do, but Orkestra could help, well, manage a package internally, as Andrea was asking, and it also can help deploy and manage the documentation in a way that makes it accessible to everyone to handle this issue of, well, when someone leaves the company and no one has a clue on how things work anymore. So yeah, this is mostly what I will be talking about. I'd also mention some other existing solutions besides Orkestra, but yeah, just a couple of slides before I move on to a live demo and show you how things look. So if I was to sum up Orkestra in a sentence, I would say that it's a one-stop solution for Dynamo deployments, and actually more than that, because it can also address Grasshopper content. That part is still in beta, so the Grasshopper part is still in beta, but the Dynamo and Revit part, that is live. So yeah, as I said, this is more about the journey that happens after the creation of the definition. So say this guy here is a Trieu. He is happy because he's building some incredible automation stuff for bridge design. He is confident that he's going to help his company save time. He's automating all sorts of things. And at some point, well, it needs to leave his computer and go to the users who are going to actually be applying those tools. So yeah, that's really when Orkestra comes at play, because that part, I mean, the one when you send stuff over, is when the trouble usually begins. And one of the first issues that you'll meet is package dependency and deployment. So yeah, 9 out of 10 times, if you send something over to someone, I mean, if you send a Dynamo definition over to someone, and they say it doesn't work, it's going to be because of this, the red boxes, the unresolved nodes. This is just because the definition is not packed with its dependencies and people don't necessarily know which packages to use. And that's for the most motivated of them. Some don't even know what it's about, and they will just assume that it's too complicated and they will not use your tool. So that's a huge problem when you try to get adoption of your tools. The Dynamo team made it, well, much better when they added this. I think it was with Dynamo 2.3, the package dependency view extension that lets you know which packages are needed in the, for the definition. But that's still inside Dynamo, and sometimes the users don't even want to open Dynamo. They just want to play it through the Dynamo player. And this here is not going to help in that scenario. Just to mention another tool that shows things inside Dynamo. So there's the Monocle package by John Pearson, 60-second Revit. This package is available on the package manager and open source. It's pretty amazing. It has, I mean, I'm talking about this this feature here because I'm talking about packages and dependencies. So this one shows you exactly what's in use in the definition that you're working on. But the Monocle package has some other awesome stuff, and well, if you're not using it, you should definitely give it a shot, or at least take a look at it. Very cool grouping features and well, general script tidiness things. Now Orkestra also deals with that on a different level, I'd say, because it's not, well, like Monocle and the Dynamo built-in package dependency view extension going to show you inside Dynamo what's being used. It's actually going to let you sync a whole package environment with the full set of packages that you'd like to use or that you'd like your users to have. And you will be able to sync that with an online storage space. And every definition that you put inside that online storage space will be played using this package environment. It might, or at least I know that some people here present in this room have already started experimenting with Orkestra, and some of them have been very early adopters. But for the others, it might not be very clear. So I'll just say this for now, and then I'll show you exactly how it operates. Now, another issue that you may encounter when deploying Dynamo content is version control. You know, from a user standpoint, these questions are going to arise a lot. So yeah, where can I find the latest version of this? Or did someone modify that? And this can become a nightmare unless you came up with some very sophisticated ways to manage that part of deployments. I just heard a beep. I don't know if that's okay. Can you hear me? Is something wrong?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good, thanks. So yeah, version control and making sure that everyone gets the latest version of everything. So say Trieu made his bridge definition, he sent it over to a large group of people. So he said that he deployed that company-wide, so that's maybe over 100 people. Now, how do you make sure that whenever you make an update to that definition, that everyone is, first of all, aware of it, and second of all, knows exactly how they can confidently get the latest version of it? That becomes a problem at some point. So there are some solutions that people have started using that I've witnessed myself inside organizations. So some people have started putting their content in GitHub, which provides with some great version control features. Some people use Dropbox and have that Dropbox Drive on their computer that syncs automatically. Some people use SharePoint because it's already included in their their Autodesk Office 365 license. But the problem with these is that they're outside of the Dynamo environment. So it's not necessarily easy for a user to grab the content from there, or create that link and have that easy access to the content. There's a really cool project by Andrea Teixeira, who's here tonight. And I'd like to pay him tribute for this. It's pretty cool. It's actually the DynaHub part, so the storage and the version control, but made available inside Dynamo through a View extension. So you can basically log into your GitHub repository and browse its content and open the definitions. It's pretty cool. It works great. I'd say the difference with Orkestra in terms of how people can access this content is, I guess here it's mostly directed at people who are going to be working inside Dynamo. And I hope Andrea will correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think there is a way for the Dynamo player to grab content from this GitHub repository. But this is already, I believe, probably the best solution out there for version controlling your definitions, just storing storing your content in a centralized location that keeps track of the versioning, etc. The way Orkestra does the version control is it actually has it built in. So whenever you open your workspaces, the online workspaces, and upload some content, if you overwrite them, it's going to manage the versioning. And you always have access to all the previous versions. You have the full version history of a file, and you can even inside Dynamo run some version comparison, which I'll also show if time allows. So yeah, that was for version control. Now, another topic that is very dear to content managers' hearts is usage tracking. So questions such as how's the adoption going? Where do we need to improve the content? How is the content performing? These are questions that, administrators don't always get answered easily because users are not always great at providing feedback. And in that case, if you're just sending things over and not hearing from it, or at least knowing if it's being used, you might feel like you're, I don't know if that's an expression in English, but yelling in the desert. So there are also some tools for that. For example, there's one called Binoculars. It emerged at a London hackathon, which I was lucky enough to attend. It's also where Dynamaps was born. And these guys, they won that hackathon because they built this awesome usage tracking tool that reports every run of a definition, and it writes it on a Google Sheet, so it's cloud-based also. And then you have access to that data, and you can display it in some graphs. So this one is pretty cool. It's also free and open source, and I think it's being maintained. I'm not sure of that. The other way people can track their usage in a very, I'd say advanced way is using BinBeats. This one is a paid solution by the Bad Monkeys team. And you probably know those guys, they don't need introduction. This well, tracks way more than your Dynamo usage. It's actually a comprehensive solution that it has integrations in many authoring softwares, and it's probably the dream of well, any IT department in a company, because it provides them with information about everything and allows them to well, improve, I'd say, the performance by only providing what's necessary and removing what's not. So yeah, this one I have personally, I mean, I've seen some presentations and stuff, but I have unfortunately not been able to use it myself. Maybe someone in the attendance has, and will provide more information afterwards. But yeah, this one is looks pretty solid. And well, yeah, I'm not mentioning it here, but I'll show it live. Orkestra also does usage tracking, but it's very aimed at the Dynamo content that you deploy through Orkestra. Last but not least, there's the documentation part also in the deployment process. So, you know, if you send a definition over to someone, they might understand how it works because, well, I don't know, maybe they're geniuses, but most times if you just send a definition to someone and all the information they have is the name of the definition, it's most likely not going to be enough. So, you know, you need to come up with a way to explain what the tool does in more words than just the name of the definition. And you also need to show them how to use it. Because, well, a description of the functionality of the tool does not say which steps goes first and which step goes second. Unless you built a very clear UI, it might be hard for a user to just like comprehend by themselves. So this also is very important. And again, is addressed by Orkestra. So for this one, I'm not aware of any well, real solution about documenting Dynamo content. I mean, I know there's people using Notion HQ, which is I don't know, some sort of task management. I don't know how to describe it really, but it can help. I mean, it does have a documentation part. I have yet to see people using it for documenting Dynamo content, but I guess that would be possible. Now the thing is, well, for each problem, there are many different solutions, and these solutions have to all be maintained and kept up to date and managed by the manager if they intend to use, well, one solution per issue. The idea behind Orkestra was, as I said in the beginning in one sentence, is this one-stop solution for all of the topics. So the big picture is like this. Again, this is someone like Trieu making stuff, making really cool definitions. They know what they're doing. They have their packages. They have everything they need. But when comes the time to deploy, well, this is where Orkestra can make a difference, because it's this one-stop place, one platform that lets you manage package and script versioning, deploy to your company and manage the user access. You can also document your content, secure your definitions, and this might be well, interesting in many levels. Maybe we'll talk about this part later if you have questions about it. And then there's that usage tracking. So yeah, that's pretty much it for now. And you also get, yeah, as a content creator on the, well, development tool, such as Dynamo or Grasshopper, some productivity tools that help increase your productivity and make better informed decisions. And it's also integrated in many authoring software. So we like to think of it as a fully integrated ecosystem. There's a Revit add-in, there's a Dynamo View extension, there's a Rhino plugin that's still in beta. By the way, since Orkestra is not, I mean, the View extension is now free from Revit, it can actually be loaded by any Dynamo integration. So in Dynamo for Civil 3D, in Dynamo for Formit, or any other integration of Dynamo. And there are also some integrations that are under construction. The Civil 3D add-in is on its way, probably early 2021. There will be this Dynamo player, I mean, Orkestra player for Civil 3D. And there's a Grasshopper plugin as well, where we're looking at implementing the same features that already exist in the Dynamo View extension. And finally, there's a desktop app that lets you perform all the management tasks without having to go through Revit or Dynamo. Because you just want to upload a bunch of definitions or grant someone access to something. All right. So that's it for the slides. I hope it wasn't too long. Now for the cooler stuff, which is a live demo. So basically here I'm in Revit and I have Orkestra opened. So it's this dockable pane that you can open from the Orkestra tab. And this dockable pane has 3 tabs. There's a local part, a cloud part, and the playlists. I'll go through them real quick, and I'll try to show the features that I've already talked about and maybe some more. So I'll start with the local part. Just to say that the local part is an improved Dynamo player because it will let you browse your local content. It's very easy to set up. It's more convenient to browse than the Dynamo player because it's not that flat list of definitions that's directly inside a folder. It also shows you the subfolders and substructure the way you built it in the Windows environment, which is really cool because you don't have to browse over and over again. It's really easy to set up. You can remove a workspace, add it just like by right-click actions, and there you go. So yeah, there's that. There's also a little research bar that is going to search for content inside these folders. It's going to search by name. And one thing that it does that the Dynamo player doesn't do at all is it creates some quick accesses. So this one is called loading tests. If I right-click it and press add to ribbon, it's going to appear right here. And it's really as straightforward as this. No need to I mean, I think there's a Dynamo browser that does this, but you need to bundle things in a folder and write a little JSON bit. It's not too complicated, but I think it also needs you to restart Revit. This one here is going to just push it up there right away. And it goes even farther in terms of customization because here I've just entered the settings and I'm looking at the local settings. Going to the quick access, the local quick access part. So this one that I've just loaded is among a list of other quick accesses that I already had in place. And I can customize the image that's going to be showing. I have some logos up here. Sorry about that. I can convert any image. It's always nicer though, if it's the right size to begin with. Let's say, yeah, this upwards arrow. I'm going to hit refresh and here we go. Loading test has the arrow and it's going to stay like this. And that is pretty much it for the local part of Orkestra. So obviously if I double click a definition here, it will play it like the Dynamo player would. If I click one of these buttons, it's also going to play the definition, but it's not going to help you manage the packages because if you're missing a package here, well, it's just going to fail. It's not either going to help you manage versions of the definitions or documentation or any type of metadata. So yeah, this is a quick access to your local content. It's going to use your local settings, but nothing more than that. And by the way, I know that that's not, I mean, I'm not sure how aware of this people are, but this is free. You know, you can download it and use it like as a replacement to Dynamo browser or Dynamo player if you feel like it. It's free and it will remain free. So yeah, that was for the local part of Orkestra. Now, if we move on to the next tab, that's the cloud part. This part actually needs you to log into an account. So you press this little character here, you enter your credentials, and then you have access to, well, some other content. It looks just like this, except for the fact that this time it's not on my computer or on my local server. This is on the Orkestra platform. And since it's on the Orkestra platform, it has some more settings that are, since the platform is built around this type of content, they are completely specific also to this type of content. So here I'm looking at this hub that has my name. It's my personal hub. I'm going to look at its settings. As you can see, I can set up the users who get access to it, the level of access they get, and I can also set the exact set of packages that I'd like to have used with the content that it contains. And that's pretty much how you deal with it. Just to make it very clear the way it works, I'm going to open a definition from my local tab, right? So it's this one, apartment layout by level. I do right click and open in Dynamo. And it's going to do it, just like you can do with the Dynamo player as well. While it opens, all right, I see there's some talk. Yeah, inputs. Well, thank you, Gavin, for answering that. Yeah, and thank you, Andrea, as well. This, like you got your answer right there. It is relying 100% on Dynamo for now. I mean, sorry, on data shapes for now. And yeah, if you want some users, some input for your users, you need to build UIs yourself with the data shapes package. Now, if you're really wanting to use the automated, I mean, you know, the is input functionality of I don't know if it works on the code block. Anyway, yeah, string maybe. No. Well, anyway, yeah, there's a way to select some definitions and design them. I mean, I'm missing a word here, but basically tell Dynamo that those nodes are inputs. Those are the inputs that are going to be used in the Dynamo player when it automatically generates the inputs. This is on its way to Orkestra. We are working on automating the creation of user input nodes. I mean, user input forms, so you don't have to build the UIs yourself with data shapes. Even though I personally believe that data shapes is more powerful because it allows for more input types and more customization. So I think this will probably always be the option that I go with. But you know, sometimes you just want it to work quick and you don't want to go through this trouble, and the Orkestra will deal with that as well. Anyway, the reason why I'm here inside Dynamo and the reason why I opened it through the local part of Orkestra is that I want to make very obvious that I'm missing the data shapes package. So right here, if I play this definition, it's obviously going to fail. And if I send it over to someone who has the same package settings, well, they're going to tell me that it doesn't work. Now, if I played this definition here through the local part of Orkestra, the results would be the same, just like it would be with the Dynamo player. But if we move on to this tab and play this definition, that's exactly the same, except for the fact that it's right here, it's online, and it's in this workspace. If we look at the settings of this workspace, we'll see that, well, it has some user settings, but it also has some package settings, and it has the data shapes package associated to it. So if we play it from here, this is what happens. Orkestra is setting up your packages for this workspace. And this is pretty much it. You know, it's going to, when it needs to, switch the package environment and then play the definition. And it only does that when it needs to. So if you play this definition and then play another one that has the same package settings, it won't do this package switch thing that takes 15 to 20 seconds, depending on the amount of packages you've synced. And it's just going to play it right away. So it's optimized in that way. And this is really what makes me now very confident when I deploy some content, because, well, I don't just send it over to someone and hope they have the right packages, or send it over to someone and tell them you need this package and this package, and I'm not really sure they're going to know what I'm talking about or that they're going to actually do it. So yeah, you just bundle it together. I mean, you put it inside a workspace, you set up the appropriate package settings, and then you're pretty sure that people are going to get it running right. So for this one, I'm just going to go with it and run it. It's going to create a bunch of views and a bunch of sheets. And yeah, it runs successfully. I have my views. I have the sheets, it's all good. So deployment really becomes that with Orkestra. Say you have a definition that you're starting with Orkestra. As the title of this presentation says, getting started with Orkestra. What you would do is come to your personal space that you will get with your Orkestra account. You can create a folder, so that will be a workspace. Once you create that folder, you can upload the content you'd like to put inside of it. So all the definitions you want. And you can also enter the settings and decide exactly what set of packages will be associated to this workspace. And once all of that is done, you can start granting people access. And these people, whenever they log into Orkestra, they will get all this content up to date. There's no extra step. The moment you put the content up there and grant people access, they will start seeing it appear here in their cloud part. And double-clicking it will play it using the exact set of package that you have decided as the administrator of the content. So there's that for the package management and user access management. Another thing is that with every definition, you actually can store a bunch of metadata and associated documentation. Right here, I've selected this documentation, definition. I've pulled out the properties panel. And as you can see, there's information about, well, its location on the platform. So which hub, which workspace. We know which version we're at. We know when it was last updated and by whom. And we also have a couple of keywords. And these keywords are important because they can then be used for the research. If you run a research on the cloud workspaces and type in a keyword, it's going to bring out all the definitions that have that keyword in their keywords. So, you can tag your content like that and make the research more efficient for your users. There's also a description. So as mentioned earlier, this way to provide users with more information about what a definition does. If it's uploaded through the Dynamo View extension, you can actually even get that. So that's an automated snapshot of the definition. You can also have the background preview if that's relevant. And finally, you can actually associate really anything with it. You just enter here the information. Here I've associated a PDF. Clicking it will download and open it. Why? Okay, here we go. That's it. I can update it so I know when it was last updated and again, who made that update. You can also associate, Revit families or, that are used for the definition, for the use case of Trieu again, when he says that the family is as important as the definition itself. Well, if that's the case, you can upload the families that you need for the definition right here as associated documents. You can also upload some Excel schedules, all types of things, and you can even put some hyperlinks to link to a YouTube video that explains how things work, or even like some custom download links. So all of that is associated to the definition. And as mentioned earlier, in terms of version control, you actually have access to the full history of the definition. And you can roll back to a specific version if you wish. You also have access, ever since the latest version, to the description per version, because this may, provide more information about what has changed in between versions. So this can be valuable. And yes, that's, pretty much it for the version control of the definitions and the documentation. So this one platform where you can put stuff, decide which package will be used when it's played by the users, and document in a node-centric kind of way. So there's no need to look at two separate locations. Everything is grouped around the definition itself. And maybe I'll move on to this part here. So I'll go through this one real quick because, I've already pretty much shown how it works. You can create quick accesses on your ribbon, except for the fact that this time I'm looking at cloud quick accesses. And these are much more powerful because the local quick accesses are really for a personal use. Whereas the cloud quick accesses, well, these, in order to create one, you need to point at one of the workspaces that you're an administrator of. Once you've done that, well, actually, this one is already up there. So let's select another one. Let's go with this one. When you select the workspace, it's going to show you its content with the last update date and the person who made the update. And then you just need to slide things over to the quick access panel and push it to the cloud. So this notifies you that it was successful. Then when you hit refresh, they appear here. Now, the super powerful thing about this part is that they appear here, but not just for me. They're here for everyone who has been granted access to this workspace. So yeah, it's a direct access to people's ribbons. And since the definitions are online, well, when they play it, they get the right setting, the right package settings as well. So if there's a need for a switch of package environment, that will happen. And also, since they're online, whenever they click this button, you are assured that they are using the latest version of it. So say you make an update to the definition and push it back to the platform, your users don't need to do anything about it. If they play this button, if they play the definition through this button, they will get that latest version that you've uploaded a second ago. So that's also, I think, valuable. And there are some, of course, customization elements where you can, well, decide the logos for each definition. And again, you're not doing it just for you. This time it will be for everyone. So you can have this neat toolbox in the ribbon. And you can also decide to group them in a drop-down if it gets crowded. So I've activated this group and drop-down. I've pushed it to the cloud. I hit refresh, and here we go. So they're here. And they are, again, this button is customizable. So this one is another set of online quick accesses that I've customized. As you can see, there's custom logo, custom icons for every button. And one last thing is that online quick accesses also display the description of the definition in the tooltip. If you hover over a definition, you'll get to see whatever was put in this space. So everything you write here is going to appear here for your users. And yeah, and that's, well, it for the cloud quick accesses. Now, I guess a quick look at the analytics and all you can do with it. And then I'll show you the Dynamo view extension if there's still time. I'm not sure really how I'm doing in time and when people are.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good. Keep on going. Excellent. Yep.
Thanks, Tavo. All right, so we're looking at the analytics now. I'm going to filter it down because there's way too many things here. Okay, that's visually more, makes more sense. So as you can see, I've just live filtered it to my personal hub, and I have this set of pre-built graphs about the usage that's going on this hub. First of all, there's this pre-built usage per user graph, grouped by definition. You can also decide to group it by user, and then you can get to see what every user is up to, what they are using most, what they're not using. Maybe they're not using anything and you need to talk to them. There's this very general usage per definition chart as a pie or a bar chart. Here you can identify which definition maybe needs to become an add-in because it's really, really popular and useful. Maybe you can identify a definition that's, well, not being used at all and that needs more communication. So that's also interesting insight. There's the usage over time that you can filter by day, weeks. This can also help make business cases. And there's this one that I like a lot. It's the success rate gauge chart. And this one shows you how your content is performing. The information that's here is actually completely linked to whatever happened earlier when I played this definition. So when I played this definition, it turned green. That means that it's all good. It played without warnings. The run was successful. Now, if it had failed or if some nodes had returned warnings, this would have turned orange. And then I would have had the list of failing nodes and associated error messages when I hover over this node. It doesn't stop there. It actually pushes that information to the platform, and then you get to see it as a chart here. So what I'm going to do here is filter it by workspace. I don't think there's anything run through this one. So yeah, nothing happens. And as you can see, well, it's all good. Everything seems to be working well. If I start seeing this percentage drop really low, like below 50%, I know that the content inside this workspace is not doing very well, it's not very robust, and that it needs maybe some more work. So this is also great insight, I think, about how your content is doing. Where it's not there yet, it's been in the works for a while, but we have a couple of more live filters that we're working on implementing, such as filtering it down to a single definition and knowing how that definition is performing. Also filtering down to a Revit project and look at how things are going on a project basis. And there's also this time period filter there, where you can decide which time period you're interested in. And finally, there's this, there are these charts about the Dynamo versions and Revit versions that are being used in your company, or at least on your user base. And this also helps keep track of how things are going. If there's a legacy version that's still too present, this may help you realize it. So these are the analytics that are pre-built in Orkestra. You may wonder where the information comes from. Well, or yeah, at what points does it get pushed? And I'll tell you exactly how. So, how that happens. It happens whenever someone plays a definition through Orkestra Online or through a cloud quick access. Whenever they play the definition, they push one line of data into the database, and that database is fully accessible to you. So you have these graphs. They're accessible at any time. They're pre-built, but if you want to crunch the numbers in a different way, you can export the database as a CSV. And I'll show you what that looks like, because I think it might be interesting. Okay. All right, so it's a CSV that I'm opening in Excel, and here's what it looks like. So you get all this data, and this is all the data that gets pushed every time someone runs something through the Orkestra cloud player. So you get the hub and workspace, the definition name, the date time of the run, the status, and this is where the success or run with errors is stored. You get the username, the Dynamo and Revit version, the Revit document. So yeah, you can already use this database to filter things down to a project. The runtime, which can also help you make business cases, I guess, because, well, it shows how much an operation takes when it's run through Orkestra. You may also you may also calculate the average runtime for a definition. There's also the city and country for companies that are cross country or cross city. This can lead to some cool visuals on the map. So yeah, you get all of that. And you can use them in Tableau or Power BI or Excel or anything you like. All right, so that was for the analytics. And well, one last thing in the Revit integration is the playlists. I'll just mention them, and well, if someone is really interested about them in the questions, I'll show how they work. They are now very robust. It wasn't always the case, so I hope the beta testers who have experiments with them haven't suffered too much from it. Right now, it's all good. You can actually create a sequence of definitions. You can browse your cloud content or local content and just slide it to the playlists content and then move it up or down. You can create as many playlists as you want, and you have access to them through this tab here. When you expand the node, it shows you the content of it. And if you want to play the sequence, all you have to do is double click this guy and it will play and have some visual feedback on how things are going too. So that is how this works. Now, I'll move on to the Dynamo integration. Oh yeah, and by the way, this happens. Orkestra is bringing back your local package settings. This happens because the package environment was switched. And since I'm opening Dynamo locally, well, it's bringing back my local settings because I don't want that to be messed up. Just looking at all right. So now we're back in Dynamo, and we have this. This is the Orkestra view extension. And well, this guy here has very similar looks to the Revit integration. So you have the local part, the cloud part. Again, these are ways to browse your content, search the content. So you type anything. This is actually really, really useful, being able to browse all your definitions at one location. And you can double click it and it will open for cloud stuff and for local stuff. So another thing that it allows you to do is, for example, you see this definition here. I have opened it from the cloud, so I can make some modifications. Change, I don't know, I'm changing the lacing to this guy. I'm removing a line here. I'm renaming a variable. And yeah, okay, so I've deleted a node, added a node, made a couple of changes. Now, if I want to push it back to the platform, well, there's this button here. And this was actually a beta tester suggestion, which was really great. All you have to do to push these changes back to the platform, since it was opened from the platform, is press this button. And it will notify you that the definition was saved successfully. So whatever modification I've made here are instantly available to everyone who has access to that content. And if they play it through a quick access button, it will also play these last modifications that I have just made a second ago, all thanks to this button. There's another way to upload content that makes more sense, I guess, when it's the first time that you're uploading it to the platform. So say you're working on something local, you can then push this, push the to Orkestra button. It will then offer a list of all the storage spaces that you're an administrator of. And this is where you actually get to tick the boxes that are going to automate the snapshot of the graph and the 3D background. So that's how it happens. You know, I showed you earlier that you could get access to that through the browser. Well, this is how you do it. You just pick the location, tick these boxes, press add. It's going to upload it and make it available to everyone who have access to this workspace.
Sorry to interrupt, Mostafa. Yep. Can you add those images later on if you forget?
I'm sorry?
Can you add the snapshot later on if you forget to click those ones?
That's a good question. I would say, yeah. Well, that's how you can do it for now. Maybe we'll come up with a better way, but for now, you would have to go through the push to Orkestra functionality and just override the definition. So, you know, pick the same location it's already in. Does that make sense?
Yep. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. And yeah, it's going to override it with the images. All right. So now another thing that's really cool when you're working with the cloud part is that, well, opening cloud-based definitions is going to enable this tab that's called Orkestra Git, and this tab is going to show you some more information about the definition. I'll start with what's happening down here. So this is the same metadata that we had access to earlier, and it can actually be modified and updated from this part of, from this integration of Orkestra. You can upload anything you'd like as an associated documentation. You can update the description, update the keywords, and yeah, just push it to the platform. Another thing that you can do, and now I'm looking at the top part of the tab, is, well, check out all the version history. Whenever you select a version, you get the information about who made the modification and when. And you can actually compare this version, the current version, against any previous version. So I'm right now at version 52. So this is the one I've just pushed a couple of seconds ago, where I made the modifications, and I'm comparing it against the version that was existing right before. So if I press this button, here's what we get. It's a very visual identification of everything that was deleted. added or modified. You can filter this up if you're not, for example, interested in deletions, or bring it back. And well, you see this node here is magenta because I changed its lacing. This one is magenta as well, but it's a code block. I've changed its content. Now with code blocks and Python nodes, you actually get to see more information about the changes. You get this text diff between the versions. And this can be a lifesaver when working with Python. I work a lot with Python and Dynamo, and this has been proven, I mean, this has proven very useful. Now, all of this is paving the way to something that's not yet in Orkestra, but I've been talking about it for a while. It's really close to coming out. It's the pull request mechanism in Orkestra. So the reason why these tools here were built is because at some point there will be a way for an intermediate access level, the editor level, to suggest modifications to a definition. So they will be able to open a cloud-based definition to make some modification, but they won't be able to push it back right away without any validation. They will have to run a pull request that the administrator of the content will then be made aware of. And these tools here are to help him make better informed decisions over, whatever has been changed and if the change is good or not. And whenever they decide that the definition, the modifications are okay, they can validate it, and it will then be deployed to everyone and made available to all the users. So this is an intermediate step. And I think, yeah, I've been through, well, most of what it does as of right now, as of this first official release that came out a couple of weeks ago. And we're still working on this really hard and improving it. So yeah, maybe one last information is if you'd like to try it, just reach out by email or through the website, orkestra.online. Enter your email, we'll get in contact with you and we'll set something up. And yeah, that's it for me. I guess I could answer some questions if you.
Thanks a lot,
yeah.
Mostafa. Yeah, anybody has got any questions?
Yeah,
you can unmute yourself.
Yeah,
yep.
Yeah, Gavin. Really amazing. And obviously as a beta tester, I've got to see this a little bit already. But there's even a few more features there that I hadn't seen yet, like the GitHub changes. That's something I hadn't tried, but it's amazing what you've set up. I was just curious if this deployment model, you see sort of more potential beyond even just Dynamo and Grasshopper and visual scripting. That obviously it's a deployment system that could be applied in many places. Just curious if you've got any plans for going beyond these programs.
Well, so far we're focusing really hard on visual scripting. Mm-hmm. There are some other platforms that are working on different approaches, like fully cloud-based. I'm thinking of like Hypar or that type of things where, well, I think the learning curve is a little steeper for that type of tool. Mm-hmm. I believe that there's huge potential in visual programming. I really believe in it because there's a lot of expertise in the minds of engineers and architects, but they just don't know how to code, and this makes it available to them. So there's a lot of value, and I feel like there's really a need for this type of content to be deployed in a more stable way, because this is the only downside of visual scripting is the deployment part.
Yeah, totally agree. And I think I think I missed hearing it because my cats were distracting me in the background, but I heard you say something about something being free. I wasn't just sure if you mentioned like the licensing and access model now that it's out of beta phase.
Yeah, sure. Well, the part that's free is everything that's local. Basically, you can install Orkestra, and as long as it doesn't require you to enter these credentials, everything is free. So this part here in the Dynamo integration in Revit, the local part as well, the player, the playlists also. So the part where you can run stuff in sequence here, as long as you're only using local definitions, this is going to be free as well.
Yeah. Awesome.
So yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that's great to know, because I guess I do have a lot of people that come to me that won't necessarily pay for something, but can at least get a taste of it. So it's nice to be able to,
of course,
let them access that at least. So really great work, and hats off. Amazing.
Thanks so much, Kevin. I really much appreciate it. So yeah, people can test it through this, and if they wish to get a trial of a fully functional trial of the online stuff as well, they only need to reach out, and we'll set that up. the licensing model is then it's a subscription-based thing, and you know, companies can purchase license pack that they can then manage. Actually, let me show you what it looks like. It's always better to show than to talk about it. So right here, I'm going to log in with a license pack manager account, and I'm doing it through the desktop app. Now, since I'm logging in with this type of account, I get this special setting. I mean, this will not appear unless you have a license pack manager account. And this is where you get to attribute licenses and revoke them at will, you know, just within the limit of the license pack that you've purchased. So it's floating, completely floating. You can decide to revoke licenses at any time. And well, here you can see that there's a notion of activations. This really means that this account here can be used by 4 people at the same time. So if you want to deploy it in a way that has, I don't know, a generic user account that you want to attribute 20 activations to, so that 20 people, up to 20 people can log into it at the same time, you can play it that way.
Far out. You've essentially made a zoo server on top of a GitHub, on top of a deployment tool. It's amazing. Yeah, cool. Look forward to seeing where it goes.
Thanks, Gavin.
Cool.
Thanks, Gavin. Any other question, guys?
Yeah, I have a question. How do you access the web app?
That's a good one, and the web app is lagging a little bit behind.
Okay. Okay.
It still has the little hammer on it.
Okay. That's, yeah. Now I get it. Okay. I thought like I thought I missed something in the latest months. Okay. Okay.
You haven't.
Awesome. Thank you.
I got a question. You were talking about secure your definitions, right?
Yep. Absolutely.
Yep. Well, I think we already talked about that. By I think you're storing all the data in Amazon server in France.
Yes, that's right.
And I was wondering, is in the future, do you plan like to have give your clients the option to store the data somewhere else, maybe on this side of the world?
Well, you know, always open to discussion, really, because, well, the aim is to get a broad adoption for this tool, because I think this tool, I mean, the more people use this tool, the more it will make sense. And so, yeah, as of right now, as you've said, that's correct. The content is stored on Amazon Web Services in the France server. There is really no problem with, if a company is sensitive about that, switching the storage point. I mean, yeah, the endpoint, the Amazon endpoint, to a different location for a specific storage space. For example, this could be your company's storage space, and it could be located in Australia. Now, we can go even farther than that. It's not ideal, and it will definitely necessitate some extra work and some collaboration. But we can also imagine a case where a company would own their own Amazon Web Services storage space, and Orkestra would talk to that storage space. So that way they will be the full manager of their own storage space. Again, it's not ideal because we make a lot of updates, and we have set up many things that are going to, I mean, that are bound to the way the workspace is organized, but I think we can replicate that on something that's owned by someone else. So yeah, there's that.
I actually second Salvo's comment, and it's not about, we're actually talking the other day about this. It's not about like being sensible about the data. Like, I don't mind like the data being in France or like versus Australia. Yeah. The problem is that the UI gets quite slow. Like I've been seeing like how your UI is behaving, and my UI is like a lot slower than that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, I understand what you're saying. And it's true, yes, it's true that when the location is not the same, well, yeah, when you're far from the location, it's going to get slower. And you know, I never thought that the operations that are running on Orkestra would make you feel that lag that happens because of the distance of the storage server, because it's all very, I mean, yeah, it's light. Definitions, they rarely go beyond 500 kilobytes, but it's really interesting that you're pointing this out. So
it's not the definition that takes longer to run. It's actually
yes.
the UI takes longer to update, and it takes at least like double or 3 times the time that it is taking for you. My UI, even just like when you click on the label there on the right, or you click like settings and that kind of things, like to update the UI and open that window on the right, it takes at least double the time. Not just like running the graph, I don't think it does take longer. I haven't noticed that. Yeah. But the UI takes a lot longer.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much for pointing this out. This is really interesting too.
Overestimated the power of the Australian internet. 63rd in the world. Woo.
Yeah, well, my question was more about the security of the data. So some projects they got some restriction where the data can be stored, So
yeah, of course, yeah. I mean, I understand that, and I guess the solution at that point will be to switch to that model where you would, I mean, unless people don't want their information in Amazon Web Services at all, and that is going to be an issue.
Oh no, that should be fine. Amazon is used. It's using everywhere, so that's not the issue.
Okay, yeah. Understand.
Any other questions for anyone else? Nope. All right. So I will share back my screen.
Yes, let me make you the host again.
Yes, please. I think I did it.
Oh, all right.
You guys can see my screen?
Yes.
Yep. Sounds good. Okay. All right. Thanks a lot, everyone, for attending this meeting. Just to let you know that the presentation was recorded, and so will be posted on our YouTube channel, and also we will upload the slides on our GitHub account, with the links to the YouTube channel. So if you got any other questions or the two presenters, please reach out, and I can give you the emails if you guys willing to answer more questions later on. And thanks a lot to everyone, and we'll see you next year for another Dynamo user group.
All right. Thank you very much, Sophistic.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Have a great day.